Open Source Chat Show, Hacktoberfest Special, every Friday, October 2021, brought to you by Women Who Code Frontend. In today's episode, I, Princiya Sequiera, will talk about how to make the most out of the Hacktoberfest month. I work as an engineering manager at Anaconda, a Women Who Code Leadership Fellow for the frontend track. I maintain Lightbeam, which is a browser extension to visualize first and third-party website trackers. You can find me on Twitter and follow my work at princiya.com. Are you a first-time open source contributor and find open source overwhelming? Does it happen that everyone's been talking only about good things and you are struggling to find the time or motivation to contribute? In this episode, I will talk about how to make the most out of this Hacktoberfest month or out of your open source contributions. Tip 1. Find your motivation. What is that you wish to learn or gain from being an open source contributor? Do you want to prepare for an upcoming open source internship, or are you working at a startup but want to find out what it is like to contribute to one of the Facebook, Microsoft, or Google-like companies? Have you had a pause in your career and want to use open source as a career bridge, or want to upskill yourself by being an open source contributor? The reasons can be many, but you need to find your motivation. When the motivation is clear, it gets easier to choose a project and filter projects belonging to certain companies or based on your preferred tech stack, interests, and matching skill sets. Tip number 2. Manage your time wisely. Finding the time to work on open source itself can be very challenging. Not everyone gets to work at a company that allows contributing to open source as part of the daily work. Or you might be a student and have to balance college work plus internships and other side projects. Time is a crucial factor, but as long as you have good motivation, which is tip number 1, find your motivation, you can find ways to make the time. Tip number 3, be honest and open in your communication. Working in the open means you also have to learn how to communicate in the open. You will be collaborating with people across multiple time zones and cultures. Ask questions when things are not clear. Detail your thought process. Do not be shy. Things can be overwhelming, which is totally normal and fine. If you don't find the time to work on a claimed issue, it's fine too. But be honest about this and let others know so that someone else can pick up this issue. Find your support group or a community. We at Women Who Code Frontend Track are running an active study group for folks to get comfortable in learning to work in the open. Lastly, a bonus tip. Be selfish. Yes, you heard it right. Open source can be used in multiple ways. That's why tip 1 is very important. Find your motivation. Come up with ideas so that you can use open source to fulfill your motivation, and that's why you need to be selfish. You don't have to do the tasks which others want you to do. Instead, you can pick up tasks that you want to learn and fulfill your motivation. So, in order to make the most out of this Hacktoberfest month, it is important to have a personal motivation. Motivation is found when a purpose is discovered. It is also important to have a supportive environment to find the time to contribute, be it a supporting employer, family, or university. We need to get used to the culture of working in open. We are bound to find good as well as bad people. Nothing is easy, and open source is not easy too. I wish you all the best.